There we go. Okay, there we go. We're ready to go here. Alexa, stop. I talked to Alexa. I talked to the cat. Odds are there will be a cat here at some point because the microphone and camera are rolling, and that's what happens. There's some there, on the headline right there. It covers the stuff that we're going to talk about here, and it's really crazy. Let me start with the kids in cages. If you haven't heard anything about this, what's happening is the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and the Border Patrols Border Patrol agents are working together to grab everybody coming to the southern border of the United States from Mexico or points south. They started treating every single, as of just a few weeks ago, Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III, our Attorney General guy, started this zero tolerance for anybody coming over the border without being a citizen, I guess. It's not really exclusive of anything else. And everyone is coming over, even for sanctuary or for safety. They're all being treated as criminals. Literally, they're being treated as criminals. And their children are being treated as criminals. They're literally being treated as criminals. They're taking children from their parents. The day before yesterday, there was photos or a story of the woman that her kid was taken for oral breastfeeding, and she doesn't know if she'll ever see her kid again. There's 1,500 of them lost. There's thousands of them in the system. And they're keeping kids. Now, when they say they're keeping kids in cages, they're big cages. But I'll tell you what the world sees right now is the United States putting kids, refugees, seeking asylum. That's an international thing. Asylum is a real thing. It's when people, they're trying to get away from a situation in which they won't live somewhere else. They'll die. And not everyone's claims of asylum are real and ratified, but they're all checked out. And what we're doing now, what they are doing now, this is just horrible. They're taking away, and as young as 8 months old. There's a story this morning of a family who was separated. Now the parents get to call the kid, gets to Skype the kid once a week. Now the kid's 8 months old. They don't know where the kid is. I don't know if it's he or she. I'm sorry. But they know that the government has their kid, and there's plenty of reporting that it's taking 4 months or more to get the kids back for the ones they don't lose, to get them back to people. It costs a lot of money, and it costs a lot of credibility with the rest of the world. And so that when you hear about kids in cages, and separating people that are seeking asylum and putting apart, this is stuff that happened that started the kind of stuff that started the 2 world wars we've had. So that's that. We, America, the United States, is attacking our neighbors and putting their kids in jail. Oh, wait, it's better than that. They're building a tent city to put them onto military bases. So they're going to build a tent city in Arizona where it's 100 degrees during the summer, and they're going to build tent cities and put kids in these tent cities on military bases. Now, who takes kids away from their parent? What countries right now in the world take kids away that are seeking asylum away from their parents, or kids that came over themselves seeking asylum, and puts them in cages for a few weeks until they get caught, and then they're going to house them in tent cities on military bases? Or warehousing people's children? Who is this? What is this? So when you hear about kids in cages or about taking kids apart, that's what it is, right? they just decided that 100% of the people who come now by law, if you come to a border checkpoint where you're allowed to come in or not allowed to come in, but there's border patrol agents there and what have you, you stop in and I'm digressing, aren't I? I'm getting off to the side here. It's just terrible when what they're doing, and here's what it is: they're doing it as a punitive measure too. Tent cities. Ugh. They're doing this punitive measure, and what they're doing is they're making it so that they want to eventually make it so that other people from other countries won't come here for refuge, and they won't come to our border checkpoints and throw themselves at the mercy of the country asking for asylum. Why would they? If they know that they're going to come to the United States and their kids are going to be ripped away and they're all going to be thrown in jail and separated for months or ever, why would they come? Well, you see, that's what these power hungry, the people in Congress that are just out of control right now, and the insane president and the old man Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III. It's all mixed together into this real mess. So that's what the rest of the world sees us caging and tent sitting kids in the hill. Now the tent city, that was Joe Arpaio's idea. That's what Sheriff Joe, the one that Trump pardoned, but Sheriff Joe didn't know that by accepting a pardon, he was pleading guilty to the charges, and that really kind of freaked him out. It's actually funny to go back and look and find that little clip of I think it was a Fox News host that was interviewing him, and the Fox News host says, "Well, so you're guilty. Can you tell us about it?" He goes, "I'm not guilty." Well, you accepted a pardon. That means you're guilty. And it was like, it was crazy watching that happen. Okay, so we're putting kids in a tent city like Sheriff Joe did with the criminals because he was arresting so many people in Arizona that they overfilled the prisons. So he built tent cities outside of the prisons where convicts would sweat and be uncomfortable all day. And that's what we're doing for kids. That's what we're doing to children that we're separating from their parents right now in real time from the city. So what else we got going today? We got Paul Manafort. That's he was the campaign manager for the Trump campaign during the convention. He kind of took over before the Republican convention, and that's where they officially nominate the president. Say, "Okay, Mr. Trump, you're the guy." Well, Manafort took over before the convention and ran the thing through the convention, which, as an aside, included the only time in history that the Republican Party added planks that said we want to be friendly to Russia and forget that they indexed Crimea and that they took over another country. Back to Manafort. So Manafort's all involved. He's a money guy. He's a money launderer. That's what he does for a living. He's a professional, really high grade money launderer. I mean, that doesn't make him a high grade person or anything. That's just what he does. So he gets indicted. He comes to the subpoena. He comes into court. This is a couple of months ago, or January, I think. And the judge sees all the cases. Says, "Okay, well, since you're really rich," ignores the fact that he has half a dozen passports. I can't remember how many. At least 3 passports the guy had, and stacks of cash, and he was ready to roll. But they still gave him house arrest. For a big bail amount or whatever. So he's been on house arrest, and he's been wearing an ankle bracelet. And then the charges in Virginia that are other money laundering charges, those are also pending on him, and he's out on house arrest from Virginia too. So from Virginia and from DC. So he wears 2 ankle bracelets. Seriously, he wears 2 ankle bracelets. And the way that they got him was either he was either already talking to them and a witness, helping them, or he was being surveilled and a target of an FBI thing. I get so worked up when I'm doing this that that it makes me crazy. What Manafort? Bottom line is, while he was out with that, they were listening to his phone. That's how, you know, they were listening to his phone. Now we don't know yet whether they were listening to his phone because he was cooperating, or if they were listening to his phone because he was a target of Russian you know, influence peddling in the United States and whatever. And techno illiterate. They're all techno illiterate. These are old white dudes. These are old mobbed up white dudes that don't even use computers. Trump, for instance, but let me get to this Manafort thing. So the bottom line is, so Manafort's out on bail. They've been listening to him on the phone. Everybody knows they've been listening to him on his telephone. They know that the telephone was on during the Mayflower Hotel meeting, the adoption meeting, right? They knew that. We know that at that point, the FBI was listening through Paul Manafort's telephone to the conversations that were going on. That was going on for months at that time. So knowing all this, and he's out on house arrest wearing 2 ankle bracelets, and he starts making phone calls to other witnesses in the case against him, and starts like getting their story straight. You know, hey, we didn't do any business in the U.S., did we? Nudge, nudge, and the other people. The FBI has the audio recordings. Who in the world thought? Who would think that while this guy who is who is really dragging down the country with this whole Russia thing would be the guy? Here's the best part. He's in jail. They found out that he pulled the whatchamacallers, and he is in jail. So Paul Manafort, his bail was revoked because he was doing that thing that he does, you know, the lying thing and calling people on the telephone while he's under house arrest for doing things with his telephone. Michael Cohen is an attorney, and he's been together with the president for about 10 years, but not as his attorney. He's been like he grew up in the mob garage, the cafe/taxi garage, where the mob ran everything. And it was the Italian mob till the 80s or 90s when it switched into the Russian mob. And that's where we are today. So Cohen has been telling people close around him that he's probably going to jail. That's what he was telling him earlier this week. And as of today, he's saying that he's probably going to flip. He's probably going to turn evidence. And it's because of the pressure that is on him and his family. And it's a lot of pressure. When the FBI comes down on you, it's bad. You know, here's a bit of advice: don't lie to the FBI, because they know when they ask you a question, they already know the answer. When they ask you what happened between this time frame and this day, they already know what the answer is, because they have everybody else's testimony and the email trail all over. And so when they ask someone, welcome, first day on Periscope person. So that's that. So the Spain. I always want to go to Spain. I'm going to go there someday. So that's it. So Cohen, now Michael Cohen's the attorney guy. Now he never really was an attorney for Trump much. They went through the whole discovery process with all the papers, 300,000 documents that were confiscated from when the FBI did the search warrant on Michael Cohen's office, his home, and the hotel that he stayed at in that room. And that's where they found all the telephones, a dozen cell phones, and all these 10 cases of records, and all kinds of stuff, and a shredder that had shredded out a bunch of documents. By the way, today we learned that they put those documents back together. There were 6 pages worth. Out of those 300,000 pages, 162 of them are considered confidential or privileged information between the lawyer. So that's not going to be too good for these guys. Russia, that's such a big thing, isn't it? Thanks for checking in. I'm going to check out now. I covered kind of this stuff for today, and I'll see you next time.